What is good, everybody? What is good? What is good? It's Big Game James back in the house with my dog Mike White. What up, big dog?
How's it going, Bubba?
Hey, you know how it is. Another day, another whatever you want to call it. We Cowboys. Let's just jump right into it. Let's hit some quick news. We all know about Dontari Poe being released. Daryl Worley. Who else was it? Daryl Worley, Poe, and Everson Griffin got traded over to the Detroit Lions for a conditional pick. First, let me get your quick thoughts about all three of those guys, starting with Everson Griffin first. Do you think it was a good move by the Cowboys?
For sure. Everson Griffin had his best two games. They sold high. Unfortunately, what's going to happen is people are going to Monday morning quarterback that trade probably in December when he plays a little bit better in Detroit because he was still playing himself into shape with the corona and everything like that. And being over 30 years old, he was still trying to get rolling. And that's the type of player that gets stronger as the year goes on. So, but they got something. He wasn't helping you. He wasn't helping you at all. And they got something for him, which was surprising. So we're going to take that.
Yeah, we're definitely going to take that. Let me give a few shout outs to my peoples that just joined in the building. My dog, DiNucci, my members, KMT, Young Wilson, aloha to you, Ready Red, Devontae Griffin, Montana 808, Booth Thing. You know how we do. David Jenkins, what's up with you, dog? Good to see everybody keep on filling up in the building. And then now we just heard that Dontari Poe got released, Daryl Worley, which not really surprised with Worley because he was only on a 1-year deal. It didn't really mean anything for you to really remove him from the picture. And plus, he was struggling. But then the Poe thing, Jerry Jones comes out and said he was like 30-some pounds overweight. He missed out on his bonus. We all talked about the Poe thing. I think the biggest thing, and I want to ask you this, the biggest disappointment with me with Poe was I was never really super excited about getting him. I was just happy that we got a plugger in the middle. Like I said, I wanted Snacks Harrison.
Yes.
But it was, to me, like I said, Poe was the shut up signing. Shut up, you guys, because we didn't get Harrison, but we got a big boy in Poe, so be quiet with that. But as we saw, he was not doing great at Carolina. He had the injury, and they covered themselves. They were smartly. They covered themselves with that injury because they were saying he really didn't come all the way full back and, didn't have the attitude. What's your thoughts on the Poe situation and in the front line going forward? How do you feel about that now?
I'm in the same boat as you. I was excited about the Poe signing. I knew he was a jobber, but I thought the additions of him and Gerald McCoy would ease the pain of losing Quinn because Quinn did some sack hunting and he wasn't exactly as, he wasn't a really great run defender. The numbers are out on that. And he went sack hunting and hurt the team. I was kind of excited about having Everson Griffin because I thought I was wrong. I was big wrong. I thought Everson Griffin was.
We all were. We all were. Let's keep it real.
I was wrong. I thought Everson Griffin was who people thought Clowney was. And turns out Everson Griffin is washed. He had his best two games were the last 2 weeks, and in my opinion, they sold high. And they got something for him, and it was never a fit. He butted heads with Nolan, which apparently everybody butts heads with Nolan, and we'll get to that conversation here in a little bit.
Right.
And I was excited about Poe because it's the biggest stock literally that they've put in the one tech situation this century.
Right.
It's and I never would have dreamed that a guy that's 350 plus pounds gets ragdolled like he's 187. He played like he was Cole Beasley playing nose tackle. I didn't understand, like, how are you that big and you still, what you end up doing, like, you were supposed to help our linebackers. You ended up hurting them with your play. And it's insane. It's insane how bad he was. And, I expect, we all thought he was a jobber, but when you're that bad, I expect him to be a detriment. I really didn't. And he was a detriment. And that is what it is at this point, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, man, it was very surprising to me as well because we were all excited. We thought, this could be a second chance of, Poe getting, his mojo back. But here's the thing, just like they were talking about with Clinton Ha Ha Dix, I think it was his fourth team in as many years. So he was going from one team 1 year, one team, he wasn't stable. He wasn't staying at an organization. That is telling because it happened with HaHa Dix. He still hasn't got picked up by anybody as well. So that could have been a telling thing. But now going forward, now who do you see really rolling up in this middle now? And do you have a little bit more excitement? Because this is what I said. I think Antoine Woods had a chip on his shoulder because he was frustrated that they brought in McCoy and they brought in Poe, and now you don't have either one of them. So now it's your time to get the minutes that you want. Do you think he's going to be up to the task? How do you feel about Justin Hamilton, and how do you feel about Gallimore in that mix in the middle? And even probably Tyrone Crawford, because we're going to have to throw him in there too.
Gallimore, a.k.a. the Feral Bear. I liked him coming out of the draft. OU plays stupid defense. They asked him to play one tech too much, which he's not a one tech. He's not a one tech. He's a three tech. And when they asked him to two gap like that in a one tech, he got blown off the ball. But when he plays three tech, he can get a little bit of penetration. He's good with his hands. He's been working on his hands. His first step is quick as shit. He's been working on that too. That's a solid prospect, but you can't expect too much. You draft him in the third round.
Mm-hmm.
If you thought he was Aaron Donald, he would have been drafted in the top 10.
Right.
That's you can't expect like with the Xavier Woods thing, but you can't expect this top 10 type of play when you draft in the later rounds. But he's a solid player and he's a prospect, and any promise he shows. And, we're talking about, they let go of Worley, they let go of Poe, they let go of Griffin. If we're going to lose, I want to see some promise. I want to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
I see your guys.
Yes, I want to see where we can go forward with this, because I can understand when the team sucks because you've lost so many people. But I want to see a little bit of promise here at the end of the tunnel. I want to see that light. And you got that there. Let Gallimore play. He's a solid rotational player. Let Anai play. Let Francis Bernard play. I would actually bench Jalen Smith and let Francis Bernard play the will. But that's another,
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. You know that.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. He makes too much money in the brand and this, that, and the other. And
that's not gonna happen.
You could.
That's when Jerry step his ass up in there and be like, no, he gonna play, and that's part of the problem that we've already talked about in the past few sessions that we had. But like you said, Gallimore, I like seeing him. Like you said, he's a three tech. He's not a one tech. Let him continue to get more experience. Let's see. What do you think about Justin Hamilton?
He had a good first game. He had a bad second game.
Yeah, he struggled last week.
That's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get when you go salvage yard on these defensive tackles. It's a hard position to play, and that's why even the draft stock that people put in Aaron Donald, it's a lot of draft stock, and there's times where he doesn't do anything. And he's one of the greatest defensive tackles in the history of the game. It's a really, really, really hard position. And, when you don't there's a fine, I don't know how to explain it, but you don't have to put that much stock like what they did with Donald. And you don't have to absolutely ignore it like you do with Hamilton.
Right.
But there's not that much difference. There's not that big of a difference in the play. But there is a big difference in the play, but not that much. Yeah,
I get what you're saying. It's a slippery slope, especially when you're talking about those guys between the first few rounds, especially if you're talking about the D tackle position, because you can't find somebody in the later rounds of the D tackle position, but you can't expect them to come in and dominate when you do pick them in later rounds, because the bigger guys take a little bit longer to mature, and they're dealing with grown men in the inside. And you got a 21 like Tristan Hill, you got a 21-year-old coming in, and
you still got a baby body.
Yeah, you still got a baby body. Just like even like when we're talking about Terrence Steele, we already know he struggles, but if you look at his body type, he's not built. He needs to get in the weight room. He needs to get stronger, and that's one of the reasons why he loses in these matchups, because he's not physically strong enough, even with his size.
That's a solid swing tackle going forward.
I do believe that, and I think him and Brandon Knight are two solid swing tackles going forward, and this experience is going to help both of them down the line, especially if you get the starters coming back in La'el Collins and Tyron Smith. We'll see what happens with that. But I got a quick question from you, from my guy, Young Wilson. He asked me, but I'm asking you as well. says, do we go get a defensive tackle? This is probably before the trade line. Snacks is on the practice squad still at Seattle. And he says, if so, do we go after him? Jerry and Steven are the problem. We know that. We've been talking about that. Aloha. Yes, sir. And keep up the great work. So what would you think? Should the Cowboys go out and get it? Because remember, they were talking about Quinnen Williams from the Jets, how they were, dangling him and offering him. Should they go get, if they had the opportunity to do it, should they go out and look after a Quinnen Williams if they wanted just a second-round pick? Should they go after like a one tech? Or should they see if they can poach a Snacks Harrison? Because I think some teams poached him, and he said, I don't want to play with you guys.
I'd take Quinnen Williams in a heartbeat for the two.
Mm-hmm.
In a heartbeat. You're not going to get that caliber player in this draft in the second-round draft pick. It's not going to happen, period. It's absolutely not going to happen. The guy I think he was 7th or 8th on their board, on their big board.
Mm-hmm.
He was a unanimous top 10 on 32 teams draft boards.
Mm-hmm.
Period. That's not I'm worried about them burning the pick for a this year move. This team this year is dead. Please, 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 please don't burn the first round draft pick for this team. This team is dead. But that second round draft pick, if you want to go get a player on an early contract with a promising career, by all means, go do it. And Quinnen Williams is that dude. The problem is the Jets are so fucking pissed off Stephen Jones after leaking the Jamal Adams deal. I don't know if it'll even happen. They swore they would never do business with him again.
Mm-hmm.
Because he went and ran and told that deal to David Moore, and David Moore wrote that article, and it blew the whole trade up.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would love a Quinnen Williams right now because I believe, 6-7 games in, he has 3 sacks. He was really injured his first year, but you could see his potential now. Now he's been healthy. Now you can see why they drafted him that high because you can see the potential that he offers. And you can't tell me we bring him in on a second-round pick, like you said, who's coming out of the draft that's already going to bring what he is, and he's young, and he's better than all our younger guys right now.
He's better than Derek Brown, who went early as shit last year.
Right.
He's better than Derek Brown.
Right.
So he's better than Oliver, who went early. He's like a kind of a dollar store Aaron Donald, and I don't mean that disrespectful at all, but
I know exactly what you mean.
So, that's the type of deal that you could do to build your defense up heading into this draft. And then say you get a top 3 to 4 draft pick, not 4, top 3 draft pick, because we're in position to get a top 3 draft pick. And then you have your franchise quarterback, and then you sell that draft pick off for a king's ransom for somebody who wants to come get Zach Wilson or Trevor Fields, or there's another Trey Lance, I'm sure he'll work his way up into there. And then Montana, the Jets are absolutely shopping Quinnen Williams. I don't care what you want to hear. They are absolutely shopping Quinnen Williams. It's a factual information. They are. Mm-hmm. Just because Adam Gase says it's not a thing, absolutely means it is a thing.
Yeah. And when they say it's not a thing, that's what it means. It is a thing. When they say, no, we're not doing thing. Yes, it is. That's exactly.
Adam Gase has literally never told a true story in his entire life. As his mouth is open, he's lying.
Right. And ain't nobody feeling him anyway.
No. Oh, Matt Ryan just ran a touchdown in.
Matt Ryan, man, well, our fantasy. He should have threw it to daggone Julio so he can give me some more damn points.
He's on my fantasy team, and I lost Christian McCaffrey, so hey.
Well, ain't he coming back though? Ain't Christian coming back?
Yeah, and there'll be a worse team when he comes back.
Yeah, because they're going to feed the hell out of him.
I'm not talking about fantasy.
All right, so let's talk about the what they call the elephant in the room. Let's talk about this Mike Nolan thing. What's your thoughts on it? I mean, we talked about it before. Should they just go ahead and get rid of him? I made a couple videos already, Mike, that I said go ahead and because what's the point? You should not keep him after this year. That's a guarantee. You definitely shouldn't keep him after this year. And what would be the point of you keeping him all year if you're already seeing what it is? Just to see if the defense can improve with your young guys that you drafted, see if they can mix. Why do you keep a Mike Nolan beyond right now?
I don't have a good answer. There's I'm going to fence right on that one. Like, he's had a bad defense everywhere he's been where he hasn't had Hall of Famers. But you also have a bad defense here, and he hasn't had bad talent. He hasn't had good talent on the defenses where he didn't have Hall of Famers. You know, I mean, who's your replacement?
Right. Would you think they could elevate a George Edwards?
George Edwards is bad too.
What about when they what about the Wade Phillips thing that has been thrown out there, and he's been talking about, hey,
Wade Phillips is the 3-4 coach.
I know. Do you think he could switch the principles, or do you think just ride it out?
My issue is here. This defense doesn't have any talent, and you could have Bill Belichick. This defense doesn't have any talent.
The reason I agree with you on that the talent is low, but do you think that maybe with the change, let's say I get what you're saying with Wade Phillips because I know he's a 3-4 guy, but maybe you get somebody to play for you a little more because it just seems like these guys, and I get what Mike Nolan was saying in his interview, guys weren't setting the edges, guys are not doing a gap integrity, and that's the truth. But they also seem like they're I mean, at least with Ron Marinelli, even when they did those silly things, they at least played hard. You could see it. You could see them still playing hard for Marinelli, in my opinion. I don't feel like they just gave it up. They played hard. But you can see the lack
there's a lot of jogging. There's a lot of jogging.
Yeah, there's a lack of, there's a lack of between the coach and the players. You can see the lack. So
don't you think that has something to do with getting gassed for 340 yards on the ground versus Chicago?
I mean, true story.
I'm sorry, not Chicago. I'm sorry.
Washington or
the Browns.
The Browns.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's demoralizing. That's when you talk about imposing your will, that's imposing your will. When the opposing offense is getting 7 yards per carry, that's tough scene.
I mean, Antonio Gibson ran for 120.
And Xavier Woods escorted him to the end zone on his longest run. It's nothing that it's nothing that hasn't been happening since 2018 in the Colts game. It's the same defense.
When we got exposed,
it's the same defense. Any bit of eye candy throws these linebackers completely off their game unless it's Sean Lee out there, and Sean Lee's so old he can't do a damn thing about it.
Right.
You got linebackers who Jalen Smith, it's like you could throw a bass lure out there in the middle of the field and get it shiny, and he just takes off. He takes himself completely out of the play. What's a DC going to do about that?
Right.
That's my issue. You can't give a guy dog shit talent and expect him to do something with it, even if he probably is a bad DC. He's been a bad DC. His track record states that when he didn't have Ed Reed. And I don't know. I wish I had an answer. I really wish I get some solid safety play. Help your cornerbacks out.
We just have regular players, dog, and we just have regular players because I go back to this. Like I said, last year we were 8-8, right? Defense statistically was up there, but we saw what it was. And then the year prior to that, 2018, it was ranked 6th, which was one of the better times they've had it. Okay, I know
that's fake
news. I know. Trust me, I'm not going by. I'm saying I'm just throwing the stat out there. I'm not saying I saw the play. Okay, so it wasn't dominant by any means. What I'm going back to is saying that it was regular in last year, and we were 8-8. It was regular when we were 10-6, and we were 3-5, and then before that was 9-7. It was regular, so it wasn't never really dominating as far as the players. What happened was guys, I feel like they played for Marinelli, and when you play for a team and you may not be super talented, you can get by with your defense. You feel what I'm saying? But when you play them tough teams, they're going to exploit you because you're playing that cover 2 and you have regular players. They're going to get exploited when you're playing an offensive coordinator who knows how to exploit that, and he has the talent to override you.
When Jeff Driscoll and Mitchell Trubisky and Sam Darnold read your defense like it's a damn flip book, you got issues.
Right.
And Chris I keep wanting to say Chris Riccinelli because that's what I was calling him. Chris Richard was on the Boys and Girls podcast with that's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
It was Slater and Bobby, and he's talking about you have the ability. You can only call the defense that you have the ability. It's ability alignment. You can only call the defense that you have the ability to align on. Well, hey, that's all fine and dandy. Scott Linehan was a great offensive coordinator when he had Randy Moss. Scott Linehan was a great offensive coordinator when he had Megatron.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Nolan was a great offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator when he had Ed Reed. Everybody's great when they got all pro talent. Jason Garrett won Coach of the Year when he had a line full of all pros and a quarterback that would bail hell out on third down. What do you do when you don't have superior talent against what everybody you line up against? And that's what we're seeing with Mike Nolan. He does not have superior talent. This is a bad defensive team. It's bad talent. They played a linebacker who has one leg. LVE has constant injury issues. DeMarcus Lawrence is a top 12 defensive end. I think that's being nice. What are you supposed to do? Trayvon Diggs is out there battling his ass off. He's the fourth most targeted cornerback in the NFL, and he's 37th in completion percentage with zero safety help. The minute he tries to poke inside or jump a route or do anything, he gets burned, just like Terry McLaurin. That Terry McLaurin touchdown bomb he got burned on. The series before that, they ran a play-action run on third down and got 37 yards with Gibson. The next series, they run the same exact set. Trayvon Diggs peeks inside because he sees the same exact set. His safety's not back there helping him out, and he gets burned on a touchdown. That's I don't know what any coach does with the talent you have in the defensive roster. And the sad thing is they've spent a lot of stock in this defense. Mm-hmm. They honestly really have. And none of it's panned out.
Well, at all. That starts at the front office, though, with signings.
It absolutely does.
You got a guy named Stephen Jones who's the director of your player personnel. That's the first mistake right there, having him director of player personnel, in my opinion. But let's talk about the offensive side of the ball of the players, and then we'll talk about this Philly matchup before we get out of here. So now you got Ben DiNucci in here, Andy Dalton, Gucci DiNucci. Andy Dalton is out. Took the big hit. We all talked about Nucci Mane is Nucci Magic, and we're listening to him in the interviews. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, it sounds all good, blah, blah, blah. But I like the upbeat attitude. I like the attitude where he's coming in like, hey, I mean, he's real cocky with it when you listen to him. He's like, I'm gonna play ball. I'm gonna play ball. I'm gonna do what I do. The main thing I want you to do, DiNucci, because I seen you doing in the Washington game. Just don't stare at him. Just don't stare at that receiver. Just don't stare him down, because the Washington team was already trying to jump them routes early because they saw you staring. Please stare it, pump fake it, and then look. Just don't stare him down.
That's what Slay would love with his 75.
You feel me?
Let me say one thing. Philadelphia is lucky that Dak Prescott is not healthy. We would drag that motherfucker up and down.
We would drag the whole damn team. He throw for 600 against this offense.
Every bit of it. Darian Slay has a 72% completion percentage against him for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. He would get drugged against this team. But yes, if we're gonna lose, let DiNucci sling it. Gucci Nucci, let him sling it. And I don't care. I don't care if he throws 17 picks in the next 6 games. I really don't. Make it entertaining. I'd rather you throw a pick on a YOLO ball than catch a fumble on a 6-yard run by Zeke, which is what he's been doing.
Yeah, I was, that's funny because before I hit you up and came in, my thought was this thing about how should we play with DiNucci? My thing was, let's throw it quickly. Let's not sit there first down, hike and hand it to Zeke, because they're already going to know it. Then they're like, okay, yeah, we know y'all scary at this game, and we're going to attack and we're going to blitz the shit out of you now. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're going to do. But you got DiNucci, and I feel good about DiNucci. I said we're going to win this game. I ain't trying to jump out there like we sweet or anything like that. I just feel like this game we're going to win. I'm just calling it. I'm going to say, and I don't know how. We're just going to win it, Mike. That's all I'm saying.
I tend to agree, bud. And it's going to be a bullshit score. It's going to be a bullshit score. Like 12-9.
Yeah,
I put it on Twitter. 12-9. Like
Philly's going to help us, Mike. Philly's going to help us.
Wentz fumbles out of the back of the end zone.
They're going to help us, dog.
Like some dumbass.
They're going to give it up. Because we got to look at it. First of all, right now, you got Carson Wentz is playing as worse as his rookie year. He has 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Let's make no mistake about it. Carson Wentz is a bad quarterback, and that back leg, I talked about it the last time we were together, and I talked about it 2 weeks ago. Watch that back leg. That throw he made, I'm going to give him a little credit for a second. That throw he made to win the game last week with a broken back leg off center in the corner of the end zone was one of the best throws I've seen all season. But that back leg is compromised, and he does not trust that knee. He doesn't at all. He absolutely does not trust that knee. And that dude he'll give you the ball if you want it.
I mean, 10 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Yeah, that ball's there if you want it, and
this is the game. Yeah, this is the game that, I mean, I just feel it, Mike. I felt it from the very beginning. Like, and you know why the reason why I felt it is because a lot of times this is the way Dallas plays is that when everybody says we suck and we're trash and we ain't no good and everybody predicts
We've seen this book.
We've seen this book so many times. We've read it before that when everybody says we're trash and we ain't going to win no more games and go look for this pick and look for that pick, they'll rise above. And I really feel like DiNucci, this is his time. This game, I'm not saying it'll be trash other games, but this game, I feel like this is that game. And also, let's look at the offensive line. I want to ask you what would be your lineup because I'm going to tell you right now who I like. Okay, I like Biadasz. I know Looney's coming back. He's your good backup. He's your good flex guy to me. I don't want Looney starting. That's just my opinion. Also, here's my dilemma. Right guard. What do they do? Because Zach Martin's coming back right. You can't have a Terrence Steele starting. I know they're probably going to do it, but he's going against Brandon Graham, who has 6 sacks, dog, who's 32 years old, who's going to eat him alive. I know Zach Martin said, I'll do whatever, and I know he don't want to play right tackle. But for this game, Zach Martin, you got to play right tackle.
You got to play right tackle.
I watched Connor McGovern. I want to ask you about him. I like McGovern. I thought he played a lot better that second game, and he was matched up plenty against Deron Payne one-on-one, and Payne was not moving him. Like, we seen how Connor Williams struggles with those big bodies on the inside. He gets thrown around. That was not happening with Connor McGovern, dog. He was holding his own, and he was driving people away.
He's got an ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an ass. Connor Williams, God bless his soul, he don't have an ass. You got to have that ass. No ass, no. You can't play on an IDL. You can't do it. That's why Malik Collins got pushed around. We can talk about Dontari Poe. He's got all kinds of ass, but anyway, you got to have that power buck. You have to have it, and God bless you. Martin, you're going to play right tackle this weekend. You have to. You have to, because Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham have the same amount of tackle for losses as the entire Cowboys front seven.
Right. And that whole starting front four has 14 sacks between them.
Yeah. How many sacks we got? I think it's 4, 5.
Right.
So, you got it. Here's my deal with this game. Kellen Moore, what you got?
Yes, this is Kellen Moore. See, and like you said, this is where you got to earn your money. Everybody's down what you doing.
What you got?
This is where you can show where you do it. You got a 7-round quarterback. You got a makeshift line. You got young guys on the line. This is where you got to show.
You got 3 number 1 wide receivers,
and you can make it happen because we've seen it, Mike. We've seen teams that have lesser talent, or maybe the offensive line is good, a quarterback comes in, and we've seen them move the ball. But that's where we've seen that damn play caller saying, oh, that man called a great game.
San Francisco went to the Super Bowl last year with a number 2 quarterback, period. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a number 1 quarterback. I don't give a damn. The evidence is out there. They went to the Super Bowl with him. And they had a ultimate defense. But at the end of the day, he ended up losing the Super Bowl for him. But they went there with him.
Mm-hmm.
They got that far. What do you got? What do you got? Everybody wanted to praise Matt Nagy. Now Matt Nagy went to Chicago, and what's he doing out there without an all-pro quarterback? That's what do you got, Kellen? See what you got. And I'm a Kellen fan.
Me too.
I really am. I really like. People were wanting to hate on Kellen. Even when the quarterback went down there, where's the misdirection at? Where's the play action at? Well, yeah, it's hard to do a lot of that stuff when you have a hodgepodge offensive line, which is literally patchwork. But let's see what you got. Pull out everything. If you want to run wildcat to CeeDee Lamb. If you want to run double pitch, flea flicker, reverses, and everything you need,
just don't come in there basic as hell, running the ball with Zeke.
No,
that's when we're not going to respect.
No, if you give Zeke 35 carries, you lose this game by 30 points.
Yeah, you are.
Period. Because he's a bad running back right now, and I hate to say that. And I'm a running back hater and all that and yada, yada, yada. But the fact of the matter is Zeke, every time he carries the ball, he hurts your team. So what are you going to do? Figure it out. You're going to pitch it. You're going to option it out. What are you going to do? Don't crash up the A gap. Don't run these off tackles like Jason wanted to do. Whatever you want, it's time to show your ass, Kellen. What do you got?
Yep. That's a definite truth right there. That's all eyes are going to be on Kellen and Mike McCarthy too. This is where, like I said before, when Dak got hurt, after Dak got hurt, I said this is where we're going to see what the staff's coaching skills are about, because you have a average defense that's playing terrible. You have an offensive line that's young and in flux. Now you have a 7th-round quarterback who you did not think that was going to play at all this season. You know what I mean? Your special teams has just been okay. Show us where the coaching is, because this is where will be the hope. Because even if Dallas has a bad year this year, maybe only win 1 or 2 games, we're still going to watch the coaching, just like they're going to watch the effort. You're going to watch the players. You're going to watch this is where everybody gets evaluated right here, right?
I fully expect them to lose the game, but I want to see what you have. Give it, run off, I know there's only so much misdirection you can do with this hodgepodge offensive line, but what can you do outside of that? What's your wide receiver handoffs? Get those shovel passes going like KC does with Tyreek Hill. Young Lamb can run those. He's not a 4.2 guy, but he's definitely not a 4.5 guy like he ran at the combine. He's faster than that. And he's a bigger, he's a lighter guy, but he's still, he can in space, what can you do? What can you do? Let's make something happen. And I don't expect you to win the game, but let's see what you can do.
But we win in this one. We win in this one though, Mike. We're gonna win this one. Just say it. Just say it.
12-9.
15 to 12.
12-9.
Just say it. I ain't jumping out there on anyone, but this one, I just feel it like it's just gonna be a weird ass game. I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles are gonna keep us into it, because you know why? I feel like they're gonna press, because they're gonna want to beat us so bad. I feel like they're gonna press themselves into mistakes, and they're gonna do silly things because they want to beat us.
Carson Wentz give you the football.
I'm telling you,
Wentz give you the football in a heartbeat.
Trust me on this one.
He loves nothing else more than giving away the football.
Right. And here's my thing. If we do lose, look, Cowboys fans will be mad at me because I predicted us to win this. Who cares? You know what I mean? But let's jump on this defensive side of the ball with the Philly defense, okay? Now, I talked about the offensive line. What do you think, what kind of plays, like you said, should neutralize? Because we're going against this front line of Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Fletcher Cox. What's the other guy right next to Cox? He just came over. Hargrave, and then you talk about Sweat coming off the bench. They still got they got about 5. That front is crazy. But as good as that front is, though, Mike, they're still the 25th rated defensively ranked team in the league. Because they cannot cover that secondary. And that's because
the fact of the matter is, and I'm glad you said that, All your defensive line in the world does not matter if you cannot cover. Period. They have no safeties. They have no cornerbacks. They paid all that money for Darius Slay, and I think it's 74% completion percentage again. You know, you paid all that money for that dude. If you can't cover, you can't get to the quarterback. Not in today's game. As fast as the quarterbacks get the ball out, you can't get to them. No, unless it's Andy Dalton, because he likes to handle holding the ball and singing a story and all that. But this defensive line, I think,
what's the best thing to do against to neutralize these guys?
Blitz. Because you can't cover, you have no safety help. I'd bring Trayvon Diggs in and blitz him every third down. Because he's not going to get safety help anyway.
Cheeto's supposed to be active as well. And is Sean Lee playing?
I don't know.
Because that
was supposed to be Pittsburgh.
Really? Okay. Cheeto's supposed to play though, right?
Yes.
Cheeto's supposed to be back. Yes. Martin's supposed to be back, and Looney's supposed to be back. Correct?
Yes.
That's a big boost getting Cheeto back. Do you not agree?
No, Cheeto's a top 15 corner.
Would you want to re-sign him?
Yes.
Me too. What about Jordan Lewis?
I'm not resetting the market.
But look at this though, Mike. Jordan's not gonna cost no money. He ain't gonna get no big contract nowhere else.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure.
So you can probably get him for the cheaper. Especially you're probably not going to keep that coordinator too.
You know me and contracts, man. That every time I dip into contracts, I get slapped in the face. I know players like the money. When I get into the money, I get slapped in the face. Like if you can get Jordan Lewis on some type, I don't know, like vet minimum type deal or something like that. Like I would like to. When Cheeto comes back, I wouldn't mind trying Jordan Lewis at free safety.
Because he can tackle his ass off. He's physical in the run game for his little body.
He and Trevon Diggs are your most physical secondary.
And Cheeto will tackle too. Cheeto will tackle too. Cheeto will tackle.
But it ends up hurting him. He's kind of he ends up
his injury prone, but he'll still stick his nose in there. It's funny because I never hated on Cheeto. I think it's just always wanted more, but we just need to understand what Cheeto is. I think Cheeto is on the lines of a Byron Jones, in my opinion, a guy who's not going to get a lot of interceptions for you, but a dude that's going to be
half the field.
But he will be sticky as hell because people would get mad at Cheeto, but he was always there. It wasn't
Cheeto's had a better completion percentage on his career than Jalen Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate thing is your Cowboys corners are asked to play with zero safety help. Ever. If they jump a route, they get burnt. If they try to sniff out a run, they get burnt. If they blitz, they get burnt. Because they get docked on that in their stats because they have zero safety help whatsoever. You have a replacement level safety back there at best, and Jeff Heath, and the day 3 safety who's also a replacement level player, and Xavier Woods. And then you have Wilson, who just barely got some burn, and Deontay Thompson or Darian Thompson, which was, garbage.
He's the worst safety in the league.
I don't even know how he got on the field. And then, these cornerbacks, to be a good cornerback, to get interceptions in this league as a cornerback, you have to take risk. And these cornerbacks cannot take any risk whatsoever because they have zero help above them. The minute they peek inside, the minute they bite off of a double move, the minute they try to jump a route, it's going to the house because there's nobody above them whatsoever. And that's, Byron Jones didn't get interceptions. Well, Byron Jones was a 52% completion percentage cornerback in the league. And that was 46% when he was actually healthy. 52% of that was in his down year. He had a 52% completion percentage on a down year when he gave up less than 2 first downs a game on 16 games. With zero safety help. And they let that dude walk. I'm not trying to get gassed up about Byron. That's just upsetting, it's just the way they evaluate and install this secondary talent is just upsetting.
Yeah, it is. Shout out to my Dog Law Nation. Really appreciate you, big dog. Love you for life, man. Yeah, it's disappointing, but as we're getting ready to close out of here, Mike, let me give your thoughts about. Okay, let's just talk about toward the end of the season. Let's say they don't make any kind of a trade and it just passes. What is your outlook for the staff? What do you think about Mike McCarthy? And what do you think? Or you think he's going to have to make wholesale changes on the staff if the team continues to be what it is? Well, no, I want to ask you this. Let me rewind this because this is what I said to myself. When you seen Poe get released and you seen Worley get released, right? And then they traded Griffin. Do you think, this is my first question to you, do you think that was a Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones saying, okay, we're hearing these Cowboys fans talking too damn much. Let's go ahead and release some people so they shut up because I said they do shut up signings and shut up cuts. Do you think it was the Joneses saying, okay, if these fans are chirping too much, let's go ahead and keep them quiet and do some moves? Or do you think that was Mike McCarthy actually being able to say, you know what, these players ain't working for me. They got to go?
I think they made room for Sean Lee and Cheeto and I forgot the other name. I think they made room for players to come back.
Do you think that's the only reason why?
I mean, obviously Poe hurt the team.
Mm-hmm.
It was an easy move, and Worley hurt the team. It was an easy move, and if you actually, none of these cuts will actually send it. What they actually should do, the second Sean Lee is healthy, you should bench Jalen Smith and trot Sean Lee and Jalen and
that would get attention. That would get attention.
There's your attention. And then if that doesn't work, June 2nd, Jalen Smith is no longer a part of this team.
I don't know if they'll do that because I believe that's and see, here's the thing. And
that when I'm on there, it's not about the lifetime story. It's about how can you play football. And Jalen Smith cannot play NFL football. If you want to send a shot across the bow, if you want to send a ripple across a room, that's what you do.
That's not going to happen, though. And that's why we're at where we're at, big dog. And that's why we're always going to go in circles because just like you said, if you want to shake it up, and nobody's disrespecting Jalen, but when we see the limitations of what you did, you shouldn't have probably drafted him in that second round. That was the feel-good story. And now you signed him. Okay, and they're not going to do it, in my opinion, because like you said, they're all about that brand too. And as long as that brand is still in that mix and it's family oriented, because I rolled down the thing right quick, Mike, and talked about, I showed all the staff members that are on the Dallas Cowboys. It's all Joneses. It's nobody else. And I feel like that is the fundamental problem. That's why we keep going in circles and bouncing our head. Because even when you heard about the interview with Jerry Jones, how he was like, well, you shut up and let me talk. You don't think he acts like that in his regular day life. You get what I'm saying? So if he's doing –
that's because he had Rosie send Rich Mortensen a text that said, hey, call Jerry. He wants to talk about something. And that's exactly how that happened. Jerry Jones and Mortensen are tight.
Mm-hmm.
They go back like peas in a pod. I gave you a quote. And Jerry was off in that Johnny Blue, and then that's the quote you got. And no matter how true it may be, that's what you get. It's flash. It's a firework. No substance to it at all. There's no substance, and there. No matter how, I don't want to end this on a negative note. I really don't.
I'll let you leave it alone because I don't have no problem saying it, dog, because it ain't a negative. It's just the truth. I mean, it is.
It is.
It is. And that's why you keep shaking your head. And that's why you don't want to say it. That's why I don't want to. Listen, Mike, let's keep it real.
But we don't want to talk
about it. We don't want to talk about it, and we all want to stay quiet about it because we all know what the hell it is. But we just stay quiet about it because we don't want to believe it. But we know it in our hearts.
Yeah.
You know it, and I know it.
This team ain't doing shit till the Jones boys don't.
You know it. You know it. And we don't ever want to talk about that because we don't want to talk about it. And we all know why. Let's keep it real, because every time when we talk about, just like you said, we'll make a real stand and make this move. You're not making a real stand, just like when Jason Garrett was trying to get tough and he cut Lucky Whitehead. That didn't scare nobody.
No.
You get what I'm saying? Make a real step. And just like you said, if Conley comes back and he's fully healthy, and I know he's able to do that.
They cut Lucky Whitehead because he banged old Zeke's girl.
Right. What I'm saying. But the whole point is you never made a real example of anybody. No. You never made an example. You never really made an example. And as long as Jerry Jones is there, you can't make the example.
They didn't even do it when Jimmy Johnson was here. People, Jimmy Johnson would cut you. You know, Jimmy Johnson cut jobbers.
Yeah, he wasn't cutting the main people.
They had Jimmy Johnson did an interview say, what would you do if Troy Aikman fell asleep in a meeting? Oh,
nothing.
I gently wake him up and tell him,
I mean, that's just what it is, big dog. So, hey, it ain't nothing to be, like I said, it frustrates me, but I've kind of just dealt with it. Like, I know what it is. You know what I mean? I know what it is. And no matter what we do, that's just what it is.
We just try
to overcome it. You just got to overcome it with the players. You got to get, what you have to do is like what Jimmy and them did. You got to overcome what.
Seattle won a Super Bowl, overcome the ownership. San Francisco got to the Super Bowl, overcame the ownership. Like not Baltimore, New York got to the Super Bowl, won 2 of them, overcame the ownership. Like, it's just, we have to just hopefully overcome the ownership, and that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. I mean, that's where we're at. All right, big dog. Well, we about to head off of here, man. I appreciate you. Let me give your let everybody know where they can find you, where they and let them know that you got the big thing coming up where you're going to be taking over some things. Let them all know.
So I'm taking over Inside the Star podcast from John Williams. My Twitter handle is @NotToBeTrite, and I will be firing up that podcast this coming weekend, and we will be doing draft coverage and a little bit of Cowboys talk, but mostly on the future because this season is sunset. But please join me if you would like to. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's going to be a good thing, and definitely want to jump in there with that draft because we are going to have to start looking at these prospects, these draft picks, how the Cowboys are going to do it. So we'll see how it goes. But as I said, I am going to say, I'm going to keep it all the way real. I'm excited about this week because I want to see how DiNucci's going to play. I like his moxie. I like his attitude. I like his upbeat way he's talking to the players, and I believe the players are talking to him. And I just feel like they're going to just rise above it just this week. I don't know how they're going to do it the rest of the week. I think this defense will play inspired. I don't know why. I just feel like they are. And
they're going to win this fucking game.
I feel like they are. I don't know how they're going to win this game, but they're going to win this game because I just feel like they're going to be looking at a lot of things, and Philly is an annoying team, and players themselves have to say Philly is annoying. And for you to lose to certain teams, yeah, but the players themselves got to say we don't want to lose no damn Philly.
No.
You feel me? No. Nobody wants to lose to them.
No.
So
it's like getting beat up by your sister. So.
You know what I mean? Well, they ain't trying to lose no damn Philly. So I just feel like the players are going to rise above it. I don't know how. I don't know how it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. I'm just going to, and we're going to come back and we're going to be celebrating this week. Even though we ain't going nowhere, we will be celebrating that we beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to say it again. I'm speaking in the air. See, I like that. All right, you guys. Well, that's another edition of Big Game James, Mike White, Burgers and Blitzes. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for everybody that was in the feed, everybody that was talking, giving us good questions, donations from Young Wilson. We appreciate you guys. And we will be talking to you again next week. And when we be talking to you, we'll be talking about that dub and what we're going to do against these Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, Lord. All right, so you guys signing off. Silver and Blue Nation, Mike White. Peace. Take it easy, big dog.
Later, Bubba.